You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism.
What we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE.
Somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline, I'm just gonna read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills US citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally.
I understand that Vice President Vance believes that shooting a young mother of 3 in the face 3 times is an acceptable America that he wants to live in, and I do not.
We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism.
We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it.
What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out, she was trying to ram this guy with her car.
And that is a fundamental difference between Vice President Vance and I. I do not believe that the American people should be assassinated in the street. Thank you.
He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Welcome to Boney's View. My name is Tiffany, and this is My Take, episode 6, and the title of this episode is A Tragedy on Camera. What the ICE shooting footage shows, and what it doesn't. Before we get into anything else, it's important to say this clearly. We now have video from multiple angles, including newly released body camera footage showing the moments leading up to the deadly shooting of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good. Be sure to let us know in the comments section whether you believe this was a clear case of self-defense or murder. We'd like to hear your thoughts. This episode is not about celebrating a death, nor is it about castigating the ICE agent. It's not about cheering a side. But I have to stress that encouraging people to hate, obstruct, or impede law enforcement has to stop. Today, we're walking through what happened, what the footage shows, and why the rhetoric surrounding incidents like this is tearing the country apart. One detail that has been largely glossed over in public debate: the ICE agent involved is described as an experienced officer. He is also a military veteran. Just last year, he was dragged by a vehicle during the arrest of an illegal immigrant sex offender in Bloomington, Minnesota, an incident that left him with severe injuries to his right arm and required 20 stitches. That context matters when evaluating split-second decisions involving vehicles and compliance. Friends of Renee Good told the New York Post that she was part of a network of activists coordinated through her 6-year-old son's charter school, Southside Family Charter School, which publicly promotes a social justice first approach and encourages political activism. Renee and her partner, Rebecca, moved to Minneapolis last year and enrolled their son at the school. Witnesses say they were acting as legal observers at the protest and filming ICE activity. Whatever legal observers means, you don't obstruct law enforcement with your car. That is certainly not legal. Rebecca later admitted, in emotional footage, "I made her come down here. It's my fault." Renee Good's mother, however, disputes claims that her daughter would have knowingly participated in an anti-ICE protest. The newly released video shows Renee Good sitting in her maroon Honda Pilot on a Minneapolis street, smiling at the ICE agent who would later shoot her. She tells him, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." Her partner, Rebecca Good, is outside the vehicle, filming with her cell phone. She urges the agent to show his face and challenges him verbally. At one point, she says, "You want to come at us? Go get yourself some lunch, big boy." As the situation escalates, Renee Good is ordered to get out of the vehicle. She does not comply. Instead, the engine revs and the vehicle moves in the direction of the ICE agent who was standing in front of the car. Rebecca is heard shouting, "Drive, baby, drive." Moments later, the ICE agent fires 3 shots, one through the front windshield, striking and killing Renee Good. An agent is heard using profanity as the shots ring out. The vehicle then crashes into the back of 2 parked cars.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking president. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car. Fucking bitch.
Separate surveillance footage released hours earlier shows Renee Good blocking the road with her SUV for roughly 4 minutes. While some cars appear able to maneuver around her, the vehicle is positioned in a way that draws attention and intervention. The video shows her partner exiting the vehicle early and filming the encounter. Federal agents arrive, surround the SUV, and one agent reaches toward the door, ordering her out. Seconds later, the vehicle moves forward in the direction of the ICE officer, and the shooting occurs. Here's another angle of the incident. The incident immediately divided the country. Democratic officials and activists labeled the ICE agent a murderer. The Trump administration defended the shooting as self-defense, arguing that the vehicle was being used as a weapon. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem released a statement backing the ICE officer.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. and my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, joined by Minneapolis officials, countered, saying the self-defense argument was garbage.
There's a lot of information that is swirling around right now, and we collectively are going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of this, to get justice, and to make sure that there is an investigation that is conducted in full. But what we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it.
Vice President J.D. Vance said the shooting was justified and called the situation a tragedy of left-wing ideology, adding that it could be tragic while still being avoidable.
Just one final observation here. When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded sharply to the vice president, accusing ICE of murder.
Congresswoman, what's your response to Vice President Vance yesterday saying the Minnesota shooting was a tragedy of her own making?
I understand that Vice President Vance believes that shooting a young mother of 3 in the face 3 times is an acceptable America that he wants to live in, and I do not. And that is a fundamental difference between Vice President Vance and I. I do not believe that the American people should be assassinated in the street. Thank you. Vice President.
This is where things get uncomfortable. Renee Good was likely radicalized by political rhetoric from the left, and that radicalization ultimately cost her her life. She previously lived in Kansas City, Missouri, with her partner. They are understood to have fled the United States after Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 election, briefly relocating to Canada before settling in Minneapolis. News Nation commentator Batya Ungar-Sargon agrees with the radicalization concern, taking a conciliatory tone. She states that people like Good are often deceived and emotionally manipulated, encouraged to see law enforcement as villains and themselves as heroes, without being warned of the real-world consequences. She also calls for unity, healing, and a reduction in inflammatory rhetoric from both sides.
I probably, like a lot of people in the administration, feel that this mother was led astray by dangerous rhetoric that resulted in her tragic death. And we cannot keep sustaining this lie for political purposes. That's what I believe to be true. But on the other hand, like everybody at News Nation, I know that the American people are desperate for a better conversation, a unifying conversation, especially in moments of tragedy, which would require doing what Tom Homan has done and what Mr. Bovine did, which is to say, look, let's wait. Let's not feel that urgent need to get off my chest what I believe to be true and instead say, I'm going to wait for more information.
Here's the hard truth, and it needs to be said plainly. When law enforcement tells you to get out of your vehicle, you comply. No debates, no statements, no revving engines. A car is not a protest sign. It can become a weapon in seconds. That doesn't erase compassion for a mother who lost her life. It doesn't erase grief for her children. But ignoring lawful commands comes with consequences, especially in volatile situations. It gets people killed. This country needs to lower the temperature. We can mourn Renee Good and grieve for her children. We can also empathize with the ICE agent. He certainly didn't go to work that day aiming to kill someone. And we can state plainly that impeding law enforcement from doing their job is never lawful. We can demand accountability and responsibility from both sides. What we cannot do is turn every tragedy into political gasoline. Rhetoric from both sides is making situations like this more likely, not less. This isn't about left or right. It's about life, actions, and consequences. This is your girl, Tiffany, and that's my take.
Like a hummingbird hanging in the air, like a preacher in his parapet. The winner as he starts his race, my father looking down on me. How I'm everything that I'll ever need. How I'm everything that I'll ever